podium and check your camera.
Well, it is recording. We're recording. This is my hand.
Okay. So you're on. Introduce.
All right. If you guys can sit down, including Derek, stop talking. We want to start since we're kind of like, 5-6 minutes past. Anyways, we already started streaming, whatever. There's some teams that are still going to move their stuff over. So I just wanted to kind of welcome everybody here. I'm going to flip the camera around here so they're not staring at the people on the live stream here. We're not going to be staring at the people. There's Derek. So I'm going to minimize this, and we'll let the other students put their stuff on. So keep putting your stuff on. In the meantime, we'll talk about the green light event. This is actually the 21st green light event. If you know how to do math, we do 3 of them a year. That would be 7 years straight of this. Now, when we'll actually have some of these guys talk about their GDC experience with George, Hugh, and Adam sitting over here right next to each other with at least one space in between them. Can't be too close, right? We don't use deodorant. So, so we have them all set up over there. But when they went to GDC, one of the things they noticed, right, was what other colleges were trying to do. Right? And other colleges were just starting to try this production concept. Right? They were just starting to do things. In fact, they even had some of these teachers get up and talk about how great their program was and how they spent weeks watching Sylvester and Tweety videos in class. I don't really understand that, right? But that's the thing. It just kind of only shows where we are as an institution, as UAT itself, right? That we've been doing this for 7 years. These other people are just getting started. Dr. Bowman came to us as faculty a couple weeks ago and was talking about all these, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what they are. You'll find out soon enough, right? But there's all these changes that we're trying to make to get ahead of the curve. So UAT is always trying to be on the extra edge of things before everyone starts doing it. And that's one of the great things about UAT, right? There's a lot of things. I don't want to turn this into a UAT experience, right? But the concept here, of course, is they're still putting their stuff up onto the computer for their presentations. But the concept here is UAT does a lot of great things. And one of the big things we do, of course, is our UAT Game Studios. Okay, UAT Game Studios is why you're here. Okay, we have our green light event, right? As we can see up on the big screen, the green light event is that process in which we determine which games, right, are going to be green lit and go into our production studios. And production studios is where everyone gets together. Your artists, your programmers, your designers, and actually make games. Right? When I went to school, they didn't have that kind of thing. Right? I went to a local school and I went for gaming, but we only had artists and designers. We had no programmers. We couldn't make games. So our portfolio was just, hey, this is our great art. Okay, or a good design. But we didn't have games. You guys have that opportunity through this UAT Game Studio setup in your production studio classes to actually get together and make games. And I usually give this list of things that get you a job. Right? My number one is always who you know. Okay, well, one of the great things about UAT Game Studios is you get to know people really well. You work in teams with them. Okay, you work with us as teachers. We even have people that have been in the industry for a long time coming in and helping out. Right? We have students that are alumni that are coming in and helping out, right? We're starting to make connections. Okay, we're getting jobs. My number 2 is ship games, right, to getting jobs in the industry, right? Well, we've seen many games actually get shipped. We've seen games from UAT Studios make it to mobile platforms, make it to virtual reality and Steam, right? We've seen those things happen. And those are, like I said, the top 2. Now, number 3, of course, is your portfolio. You might notice I don't say anything about degree. Degree is not on that list, and I'm not saying a degree is not important. You're here to get a degree, yes, but those other 3 things is what we help prepare you and give you. That's why you're here, not for the piece of paper. Because as they say, C's get degrees, but they don't get jobs, right? Do you want a job? Do you want to actually have a career? That actually sounds a little bit better than just a job. That's what we're trying to build for you guys, right? We're trying to help set you up into a situation where through production studios, you get the feeling of what it's really like to make games. I have seen people grow quite a bit. I've seen students that, they were just doing average work when they were first here. They go through the whole process. They go through production studios. And next thing I know, they're like super professional. I'm like, where the hell were you this whole time? What happened? Right? And I've been very impressed to see what you guys were able to do as you got together, combined to create these games. And so that's where we're at. That's why we're here today, is to see that in action, right? We're going to see the builds of what people produced this last term, and we're also going to see new pitches. We're up to like 14, 15 pitches today, right? We had 7 games that went live this semester, and we have a good chunk of students. Summer's usually a little less on the enrollment side. So with 15 games, 14 games being pitched, right, and we only had 7 this time, we're probably going to have less then. So there might be some teams that went this time around that might not make it, right? And that's not to say that those are not good games or that we didn't want to see them keep going. It's just that, right, the best are what we push through, and the quality has gone way up, right? As I said before, because we've done this for 7 years, as teachers, as staff, right, we've learned a lot. As students, you guys have learned a lot. Some of you guys are into, I mean, how many production studios classes have you guys been in?
Next semester will be 4. Ty, how many for you?
2 years.
2 years of it, so 6, 7, 8,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we got alumni and people that are helping out through, many years of this. So this is a great thing. In fact, we even encourage you as alumni to come back and take your ideas in your games and have the students work with you, because you are an asset the same way, and you guys once again help each other out. Who you know, right? Ship games, portfolio. These are all things you're creating. Like I said, other schools focus on just having you create portfolio pieces, and then even then, right, they tell you you're not allowed to put anything you did at school in your portfolio, which is insane. I don't understand that, right? It doesn't make any sense. But here at UAT, we do it differently. We let you do that. In fact, we let you own your property. You can even make money off of it, right? And students have, right? And started careers off of it. So that's why, like I said, we're here today for that, to see that, to witness that, and so on. So let's kind of move forward here. We got some other things we want to talk about. We can start with some announcements. Derek, I don't know if you've got any announcements you want to make. Derek, was sick in the morning, and he was all worried that he wasn't going to. Yeah, there's this. I think I got the black lungs, Pop. For anybody who knows that reference. Anyways, but Derek, we'll start with you with some announcements if you have any.
Is there any on my list on the paper?
Maybe. I mean, these are all things that have probably been here for 10 years, but there you go.
So yeah, basically the way I'm judging is I'm going to look at your project, I'm going to look at who's on the team, and if you subscribe to my YouTube video, you're in.
Deconstruction gaming, right?
Good luck.
Oh yeah, I was his only Facebook friend for like a week.
One that's still my only Facebook friends. Announcements, current events. Oh, there we go. New tech. I don't think there's a ton that came in this term. Although I would encourage, we do have the 2 PS4 dev kits that are not getting used a lot right now. If you dig into that kind of stuff, it is very much a discovery process in that we haven't done a lot with them either. But there's definitely opportunity there, so check in on that. There is a HoloLens class running in the summer. If you're interested in that kind of tech, that could be good. Hugh's got a VR movie making class running this summer. So if you're kind of into that kind of stuff, that could be another one to get in. It's not really a tech thing, but I'll advertise for Matt a little bit. Matt's running Game Workshop 2 in the summer, and we do a lot of prototyping there. So one of the things that we tend to do in a green light is we want to see your ideas, but we also want to see a working prototype. We want to get an idea of what the gameplay looks like. If the feedback you get from this pitch is your prototype wasn't kind of good enough, like we want to see more, classes like that can be a good way to actually accomplish that. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, make sure you're following those for the studio. It definitely helps. It's definitely a networking opportunity. Ask Todd. Where's Todd? My little Twitter protege. He's doing great on the social media front. We talked the other day. He'd rather socialize with you via Twitter than in real life. So you can take that one. We are doing things a little bit different this year, or this term. I talked to a couple people about this week. You will notice that we're doing this in week 14 and not week 15. We're not pushing it off to the very, very end. That is deliberate. That's on purpose. Our goal is to figure out what projects we're going to work on today, and then that gives us next week to start the process. We're going to start setting up AxoSoft accounts. We're going to start all of the onboarding stuff next week, which means when we get back for the summer term, in week 1 by Monday, you'll know who's on your team, and we'll start production. We won't go all week and not have the team set up and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be pushing stuff a lot harder early in the summer term. So this is deliberate. It's a little bit weird. It changes the flow a little bit, but are we just stalling until everybody gets their stuff on?
No, everyone's got their stuff on.
I think that's the big stuff. I don't want to talk a lot. I'll end with this. Thank you. You guys all made myself and the studio proud on Tuesday. Those were strong presentations as part of the SIP Fair. You may have actually won Best in Show if you would have been eligible to be voted on. But yeah, we showed really, really good. Thank you also for showing up for the awards ceremony, most of you, or at least the people that won awards. It's really weird to have your most valuable person show up or not show up for their award. But as a lesson in rhetoric for leads, this is the opportunity you always use and go, wow, man, they're working so hard right now for me that they couldn't show up to the awards ceremony. They're off doing a build. So thank you for both of those events. I think we showed really, really well, both at the SIP and the awards ceremony. So are we ready to go?
Oh yeah,
What's
we got
first?
a lot of stuff going on. But first things first, though, we do want to talk a little bit about the events that we as a staff have been doing. Thank you, or attending. In this case, GDC. So real quick, if you guys, anybody went to GDC, we have George and Hugh and Adam who all went. Is there anything Lynn wants you guys to talk about? Anything that you might have?
Before you guys talk, who went to GDC this year? Cool.
So cool. Yeah, we had them plus another, seven students that were in the car with you guys, and then some other students went not in the van. But yeah, if there's anything you guys want to say quickly, throw it out there. Talk about the importance of how this process works or whatever. Or you guys can all just stare there and look at me like, what the hell did you just ask me to do?
So, what I'd like to say is you should go every year if you can, but it is your fastest way. If you want to break into AAA games, you have to go there and talk to the people that are hiring. And if you're worried about not being able to afford the trip, come see me sometime after the presentations or really anytime. And I already have all the math figured out for the cheapest way to go.
Yep, and just to reiterate and just repeat on what I'm saying, definitely have to go. If you want to get a job, this is what you can do there. It's really, Matt said it as well. I think everyone here has said it to you a million times. Who you know is so important, right? When they go to hire people, they ask everyone on the team, do you know anybody who could do this job? And those people get looked at first. And it's not until they've run through all of those people that they get to the resumes submitted through email and et cetera. So if you're going to try and get in just through emails, anybody who was suggested by someone who works there is going to be in front of you in line. And if they can do the job, they get the job and they never look at your resume. If you go to GDC, even if you're just, I'm going to GDC and I'm going to sit in the center and play board games in the board game center. All those people you play board games with and talk to become people who can then send out your name when they say, do you know anyone who can do this job? Hey, our company's giving a $100 bonus if you can find me somebody who's a programmer. Yeah. You want to be the person that they say, right? And they want to say your name because they want that bonus. So get to know people. Talk to people in the industry. Go to GDC. It isn't just about, networking as a business thing or as something that's stressful. It's just going there and meeting people, making friends, getting to know them. Make sure you bring business cards, exchange cards. The value of a business card is if you give someone your card, they're going to give you theirs. Now when you get home, you don't have to try and remember who you met that day. You've got a stack of cards, and you just go through the card list and add them all on LinkedIn. And that way when their business says, hey, I'll give you $200 if you can find us a guy who's an AI engineer. They're going to go to their LinkedIn and they're going to search AI engineer. And if you're one of their connections and that's what it says on your list, they suggest your name because they want that money, right? So get to know people, make connections. Go to GDC, it's worth it. That's what it's all about, is in meeting those people.
One more thing, when you get their business card and you step around the corner, write notes on the back of that business card about who that person was, so you'll remember who they were, not just have their name.
Right. So. Yeah, because when you send that LinkedIn request, it's much nicer if you say, hey, remember me? I talked to you for an hour at the board game thing about, how your kid likes German board game, right?
I do it in front of them. I don't go
Okay,
around
well, I'm just saying,
I'm not shy.
write notes so you remember who they were. Sure.
Well, again, it's about an impression, right? If I'm talking to you and you take the time to take a note on my business card, shows that you've got a level of interest. It's not just like, okay, yeah, we did their business card thing, because that's going to happen as well. But if you're trying to make an impression on somebody who's in the industry, and they're talking to you, and you're jotting stuff down on their card, they're going to be like, okay, this person at least at some level cares. So it's all those little things that start to add up.
I'd just like to throw in, getting jobs is awesome, but I know Dakota went as well. As a team lead, there are a lot of people that can help you with your game. We found people that we will almost certainly use for sound in our game, Alibi Music Library. We met them at a party, we chatted with them on the floor, they want to do some free work for us. This is not uncommon. There's a lot of companies that are looking to break into the industry themselves. They're showing at GDC, you might have some opportunities to make some friends that will work with you for free or for very little compensation.
George, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, just to add, I mostly invested my time in the overall educational sessions and so forth. So really cool, boring stuff. But what I did gather, and as Marquette and Hugh alluded to, we're doing some really cool things here, guys. We really are. I never treat this as kind of an educational model, the UAT Game Studios. I treat it as we're training professionals to do some really cool stuff, so you guys can be prepared in the industry. That's what I treat this as. I think we all do as well. I was having conversations with, either private universities or just state universities in general, and this is how their semester works. Like, one semester, they'll invest an entire, 12 to 15 weeks on documentation. Cool. And then the second semester, hey, let's talk about those ideas, and let's, put more ideas in there. And then third semester, a year in, okay, let's finally get this into engine. And I'm like, my students are doing that in 7 weeks. They're getting something functional and having a prototype in 7 weeks. Marquette students are doing that same thing too, and I'm sure you guys are as well. So we're definitely, on the cutting edge of what we do here. I know you guys have certain ideas or maybe suggestions with the studio, maybe want things in a better way and so forth, and we get that. And we definitely appreciate you guys' feedback that we can change your model as we go, right? We'll be able to improve. But I can tell you right now, we're doing some really cool shit. We really are. We really are. So yeah, and this is why we're here, guys. I mean, everybody here is because they're committed. They want to have their own personal project, whether it's going to be something they want to ship down the road, or maybe have it's going to be more or less that meets the credentials for you guys to graduate, such as SIP and so forth. We're all here because we want to have fun and make games. So you guys should definitely, pat yourself on the back for doing so and doing this consistently. And we're going on 7 years now of doing this. That's a pretty milestone for ourselves.
All right, so appreciate all the advice. You guys have great advice. That's one of the great things about the staff that we have here is everyone has a different perspective. We all fit different roles, even if we are just one-trick ponies. George. Just kidding. We all do things. We all fit in. We're great. It's just like your teams, right? You notice, you see how different people will fit into different slots, right? And have different roles, do things that maybe they never thought they were going to do before. That's one of the great things about a career versus a job is you end up going in directions you never thought you'd go in, right? I'm a teacher now. Never thought I wanted to go into architecture first, right? Then I realized, hey, games was actually a thing. Then I went into games for a while. Then I started teaching. I'm all over the place, right? But that's what happens, right, when we get in those careers, and that's what's so great about it is that organicness about it and seeing how it happens, and that's what we do here at Production Studios also. But this is why we're here today, okay? The process, of course, okay, is to look at the games that are already been done this semester. So we're going to start off all these teams that are kind of here in this reddish, pinkish nonsense, not sure what color that is, right, salmon, whatever. Those teams are the ones that were here this semester. They will go first. Okay, and we'll see this is the list of how the teams are going to go. Then we have all these new games, all right? Some of these are actually teams that pitched last semester, right, that are pitching again with new content, more stuff, okay? And so with this list, I think we're probably going to end up only picking 4 or 5 teams, right? Look at that. That's a lot of stuff. So that means the cream of the crop are going to come up on top. And there is a lot of good games here, right? This is not to say that if you don't get picked, you're not good. In fact, I tell students, like if you pitch a couple terms in a row, right, and we say no, and we give you advice, and you come back the next semester using said advice, you have a lot higher chance of getting in the next time. We wish we could put all of you in, but that's not necessarily how it works, so we just take the best of the best. Well, Derek doesn't. The ones that are actually teaching the class don't want that. I can sit back and go, hey, let them do the work, right? But the idea is we want to see your ideas succeed. I mean, we did a test with Buzzkill, who's not re-pitching, but they are showing it, right? It was a test to see, hey, can second-term students be successful? The answer, of course, is yes. It just depends on how hard you're willing to work. right? And what your chemistry of your team is and so on. And so that's the great thing. So what we're going to do is, like I said before, we're going to start with these teams, and we're going to go one in each order. You only have a maximum of about 7 minutes or so to show what you've done on your previous assignment, right? Or this, as far as the ones that are coming back. Show what you've done throughout this semester, and then pitch. So be quick, right? Show your best stuff, because we don't want to be here for 7 hours. Right? None of us want to be here for 7 hours. Okay? We're going to start with the Rain and Rebellion team. We would like Doug and Daryl, or Doug or Daryl, anyone wants to talk a little bit about the importance of the production studios real quick too, being that you guys are professionals.
So Lynn
Right.
didn't do it to me this time either.
Yeah, no, she told me to do it to you. Yeah. So, delegation.
Yeah. All right. For those that don't know me, my name's Doug. Doug Doyne. I've been doing gaming stuff since '96. I worked at EA for 11 years. Got out of came to Arizona, watched the game company implode. Recovered from that. Shipped the title right afterwards. Went into some independent stuff. That got out of gaming altogether for a couple of years. And just started with Eline's Media down the street Monday, working on Endless Mission. So what I can tell you is what they were talking about, LinkedIn, is absolutely the only singular reason I found that job. That was the only reason. And I know people that have worked there. I know people that currently work there. If you need anything, connect with me on LinkedIn. I have 1,236 connections. Alex will attest. He came to me and said, hey, I want some engineer guys. I want to talk to this dude from Riot. Do you know anybody at Blizzard? And I said, well, my Blizzard guys are kind of crazy, and I don't know if you want to work there, but I do know the guy at Riot, and I'm going to work with Alex after we get all this Rain and Rebellion stuff done to get him in the door there. Like, I can call this guy and be like, hey, I've got somebody you need to look at his resume. So the networking piece is, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And no matter how great your portfolio looks, if they get a recommendation from somebody they work with, it's a done deal. Like 80 to 90% of the time. Unless you go in there and stack the interview. So that part's key. But I can tell you that my expectation when Hugh came to us, what, a year and a half ago, Daryl? Of this was not what we have so far surpassed that. It's incredible, like what you guys do here. It's amazing. I wish I had this when I was starting out. I actually would have finished college probably, because I didn't. So, but again, if you guys need anything, come talk to me and connect and use those connections. I got no problem. I'll introduce you guys anyway.
Awesome. Thank you. Give him a hand. All right. So I guess we're now actually on time. So we can get started with the first one, and let's bring up Rain and Rebellion. Give him a hand. Turn the camera here so we can see your beautiful face. Yeah. All right. So like I said, I'll give you guys a 7-minute timer. And then it beeps, and then I'll tell you to get down and stop talking. Yeah.
My Twitter's not working. We have to stop.
Yeah. There we go. All right.
Awesome. All right. So, hi, my name's Alex Wall. I am the lead for Rain and Rebellion. This semester, we have been focusing on basically cleaning up our game and getting a lot of it like polished out so that Doug and Daryl can actually take it somewhere and get some funding for it. So here's what we have to show you for the semester. So the majority of this sprint, this past sprint, this 2-week sprint, has been cleanup of some code, getting some bugs fixed, and adding our new character that Matthew Dubois made, our Fairno character. Along with the character, Caleb Hawking did our animations. So the animations you're going to be seeing are actually our own animations. They're not something from Mixamo or anything like that. So like I said, this semester has been a lot of cleanup. So we've been refining our lighting system and a lot of basically our map, trying to get it more cleaned up and basically ready to be handed off to Doug and Daryl. And then, as you can see, we have some animations in of our own, and then we can walk around and Then we can come down here, and you can see the under part of our map. This sprint, one of the other big things, like I said, was we did bugs this sprint. Chase Modry, he worked on one of our biggest bugs where we used to have on PvP, all of our characters used to jitter around the map, and it was really hard to get filming and other stuff like that. So he was able to fix that, and hopefully that's all fixed and cleaned up. Other big things that we've added is we have a chat system, so our chat system's in, it works, and yeah, that's pretty much our semester. Been cleaning up, adding new stuff, polishing, and that was our sprint. So thank you.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook to get green light, right? Let me get that.
Do you want me to stand here?
Subscribe to my
Do you want me to stand here and run this while you guys talk?
Yeah, if you want.
What? I'll run it for you guys. You guys can.
I'll try to cut you guys off.
It's okay. I know you're.
Okay, so first and foremost, just 1 split second. Reign and Rebellion. That thing was done by hand, every single piece. There's guys. Eric was one of the guys that worked on it as well that are in the room. To do something like that, a prototype by hand, I'm talking. There wasn't a single plugin except maybe a few minor art assets that those guys actually took from the asset store. Okay, so gray area. Pretty much is the next idea. Go ahead and flip the next one. So basically, sandbox game, dealing with Roswell, New Mexico. You play as the actual little dude. One of them survived, and he's got to try to find out what happened. You know, go get his dead buddies and get off the planet. That's kind of his goal. So it's this sandbox survival RPG type thing. This will deal with. There will be some kits involved because I'm not going to brutalize the students like that ever again. Most production studios that are in the world will actually take that leap and say, yeah, let's get a kit and then augment it to pieces. So go ahead with the next one. So what I did was about halfway through the semester, I asked the guys, hey, let's do a jam. You have 24 hours to make me a prototype and I will tell you that morning what it is. And so what it was gray area. Right? I gave him that initial blast picture and I said, here, this is what you have to build. And that was it. I said, here's your parameters. So what they did in 12 hours was give me the actual crash scene. And it's a completely, playable. You can run up, you can scan items. It's got special effects. There's audio involved in there. In 24 hours, I was absolutely floored when I saw this. Watching those guys work together was amazing. I'm a very, very huge advocate of Scrum, and it was a perfect example of what Scrum is about. They did really, really well. So basically, Gray Alien has to survive the night after the crash. There will be soldiers involved. They're trying to recover the saucer. Your basic job is to infiltrate the Roswell Army Air Base and recover an item from the wreckage and then escape. That's the vertical slice that we're looking for. I could probably sell the product off of something like that. All the major systems in the game, it's going to have questing, it's going to have crafting, it's going to have inventory systems, character augmentation, things like that. Game industry veterans, I'm actually back in the game industry, so I feel actually kind of good about that statement now. Before I didn't. They just showed you what they completed. That's probably not going to go unless you log in. And they can show you the ridiculous bug that Chase fixed if you want to see it. We're pretty sure that we're very close to crowdfunding this, and gray area is going to be the next focus. So that's kind of the goal. We need the gambit. The R&R team, primarily the core guys, they're leaving. They're graduating. They're doing their thing. It kills me. So I promised I wouldn't cry. Those guys are amazing. I mean, Lynn came up and said, "Hey, I got this team of rookies. What do you think?" And I said, "Yeah, give them to me. We'll see what happens." Mind has been blown. So designers, engineers.
StargateResistance.com.
You will be tasked to make a trailer. You will be tasked to make videos. So it's good to get in understand that stuff. 2D concept artists, and I do have the ability to do interns. Something I'm going to work on with E-Line is actually opening up and seeing if I can't get an intern program there. You know, because I can't give you, here's a professional senior animator at Opera Skunk yet, because right now it's me and Daryl. You know, and I'm the mouthpiece, he's the tech guy. So he could show you how to model stuff, and that's just, I don't know, he's just the jack of all trades. So if you guys have any interest in this at all, please come talk to us outside. And again, if you only want to use me for my LinkedIn contacts, I'm good with that too. All right, thank you guys.
Awesome. All right, welcome Meltdown.
Communication meltdown. Wherever our thing is.
It's somewhere in there.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so after you guys present, shut your stuff off so we don't have 5 million things to go through.
All right, good morning, guys. My name is Austin Harrington. I'm the director for Monster Vault Entertainment and team lead on Communication Meltdown. Communication Meltdown just completed its first semester in production studio. Previously, my team ran Call Center Simulator, which we were very successful with over 2 semesters. So I'm going to start by just explaining what the game is. I'll show you guys what we worked on this semester and then talk about where we're going. So what is Communication Meltdown? It's a 4-player cooperative puzzler in the style of Keep Talking and No One Explodes or Star Trek Bridge Crew. What does that mean? Well, both of those games are about giving and receiving instructions verbally. So in our game, we'll have one player that is given instructions visually. They will have to communicate those instructions verbally to 3 other players that have to carry out tasks on behalf of that player who is receiving instructions. The core gameplay feature is voice chat. This is a virtual reality game, but really the structure of the gameplay is based around communication. We have a very limited scope. We're looking at doing 3 environments. We just completed our first. We are working in Unity, and we are developing for the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive. There we go. So I'm going to show a short video showing off some of the progress that we've made over the course of the last semester. I'll talk through it. It's going to go very fast, so sorry if I talk quick. If it wants to play. Okay, so we started this semester with a prototype that we built at the Founders Game Jam last year. In December, we cut a trailer, this trailer showing off some of the environment art, and we ended up bringing this to Greenlight to pitch early this year. Everybody seemed to like it, so we went ahead and built a team and started working on a new environment. This is the reactor environment that we've been working on over the course of the semester, and we wanted to get gameplay in right away. So we did a rapid prototype of what our gameplay might look like. We got multiplayer into the game, and we started working on the giving and receiving instructions. So one player is receiving instructions visually. Each one of those images corresponds to a button. Other players have to go and press those buttons. We were just trying to get a good idea of what the game was going to be. From there, we started working on our local movement system. This is based on Final IK, which is a plugin for Unity. It's a lot of fun. It's very social, and that's what we're kind of going for. We've started working with tech art, and so you can see we've got some particle effects, we've got some shaders. We are scripting those using the Amplify Shader Editor. There we go. So now we're working on our interactive assets. So we had buttons, we were showing off kind of what we wanted to do, but we needed to get the actual core gameplay in. And so we've created a bunch of assets that we can interact with within our environment within that sequence. Every good multiplayer game also needs a lobby, especially in VR. So our lobby is an employee lounge / locker room / bathroom where players will congregate before and after matches. There's going to be a ton of stuff to do in here. It's going to be a lot of interaction. One of the best things about VR is just throwing stuff at people, interacting with things, playing with things like their toys. And so we're going to have working faucets. We've got a dartboard. We've got all kinds of stuff to throw around and interact with and every other thing. And we think this will actually be a part of the draw of this game. We're really excited about it. Another thing that we're really focused on is comedy. We really want to have a humorous game with a lot of personality. And so we've got all kinds of notes left around our office. We've got pictures of Josh Kazel. We've got all kinds of stuff. There's a character named Dave the Engineer that's causing chaos within the office. And so we're really trying to do that, and I feel like we've done a great job creating some of that comedic stance this semester. We'll look to carry that forward going into next semester. So what are we doing for next semester? Well, we've completed the reactor environment almost entirely this semester. What's left to do is wiring up our core gameplay, which is something that we're going to probably have done in the next week or two. Going into next semester, it's going to be all about taking what we've done this semester and bringing it into a new environment. It's going to be very different. It'll be more steampunk. It's not going to be a traditional nuclear nuclear reactor. We're not trying to be very serious here. We'll be polishing our gameplay loop. We'll have a new environment. We're working on interactivity for the lobby. We want to get a menu in. We don't have that yet. And we want to iterate on our fun factor. We have a really good core gameplay loop, but now we need to work at it. We need to tune it. We need to make it really fun and really engaging for all of the players, and we need to maximize the communication and social elements within the game to really get the most out of our concept. So why greenlight us? The game's developed by Monster Vault Entertainment. I think most of the people in the room know who we are, but we're an alumni studio founded by Michael Densmore. He's a great artist that came out of the school. He's been a great part of the community and has run several projects, including in production studio. We started with Mike on Call Center Simulator. He brought us into the company when we started working on that game. He's been the best boss I've ever had. He's given us agency to make the games that we want to make, which is awesome. One of those games we did at the Global Game Jam, which you're seeing here. It's called Giga Blast. We built this in 48 hours. We are in the process of releasing on Steam. We've got our Steam store set up. We are finalizing a few things in terms of our menu, and we will be submitting to Steam. It'll be a free game. You'll be able to play it next semester. One of the things that is so important when you're looking at production studio teams is shipped titles. As Markowitz said, shipped titles are a currency in this industry that cannot be overstated, especially for students. Having things that don't look like they are student projects, that don't look like it's a school assignment, is going to make the difference when you're going up against another 40 applicants who are showing off assignments clearly from their school. And so we feel like that's awesome. Obviously, with education, you guys know my demos, and you've seen the progress that our team has made. I don't want to just call out our artists, which I did last pitch, because that's not fair to the rest of the team. Everyone is developing. It's been amazing to watch as a lead. I'm so proud of everybody. But we want to keep going with that. Our internship program is actually getting a lot bigger this semester. We've got a bunch more people that have been with us that are looking to do large hour internships, 20 or 30 hour internships. And that speaks a lot about the culture of our company and that people want to be here. All right, that's basically it. Thank you so much. We're looking at a release in 2019. I don't want to give a hard date. We will have Giga Blast out next semester. Thank you so much.
All right, next is Trident. Whoa.
Humanity is under attack. But you all know that, and you've all heard that joke, so I'm not going to repeat it again. Just to remind everybody what Trident is. Trident is the first board game we've had in the Greenlight Production Studio. It's a turn-based cooperative game where you and three friends control the Tridents. It's both a game you can play with your friends, as well as, hopefully in the future, one you can play on the go and mobile. So what have we done this semester? Well, we had a bunch of goals, and I'm going to get behind this so I can see it a little better. So with the physical game, which was kind of the core focus of this semester's development, we wanted to revamp the rule set. We wanted to make sure that it was more of a 50-50 win rate, so that way the Leviathan player wasn't winning all the time. We wanted to add new flavor and descriptions. This game started out as a Pacific Rim fan game, and we're turning it into something that you can actually market and sell, because Legendary will never give us a license. So we had to do a lot of reworking there. We had to figure out an entire setting, and that also determined what the aesthetic of the pieces in the game were going to be. We had to rework the layout for both the Trident player handout and Leviathan player handout. We wanted to have two separate documents that were distinctly different. We wanted them to read different, we wanted them to look different. So that way, whenever you're going through one, it's a completely different experience, even just in how the rules are structured, the jokes we tell, the way we write, the way we communicate. Oh, I did not want to go down. We also need to kind of revamp the general rules, again, to get that 50-50 win rate, as well as updating the player cards. We wanted everything that the player needed to be on the cards that they had from the game. We don't want you to have scrap pieces of paper or anything like that. If we're not providing it to you, then we should be, if you need it. We also redid the play pieces, so that's including the system map, which has all the places that you're trying to defend, as well as the individual terrain tiles, which we then use to create the battle maps for the game. We also had to rework the tokens, which that was a fun process of doing rapid prototyping with a 3D printer. And then we also had our digital game. Now, the focus was not to create an entire game in the digital format, but rather work on the tools to make it easier later. So the first thing you need to do when you're trying to make a game that's about rolling piles of dice is have a dice roll that feels good. So with a combination of haptic and audio feedback, we were looking to create an authentic feeling dice roller. And if we could do that, then we've created the biggest barrier to making this game fun and mobile. We also wanted to work on the customization system. We can't have every combination of art for your character card, but in a digital format where we can just swap pieces out, we can. So we wanted to create a base model that was rigged and textured, as well as having different arm sets, leg sets, torso sets, and head sets, all for people to play around with. Now, ultimately, what we got done was pretty much everything we wanted in our physical rule set. On the digital side, we had a little bit more trouble, but again, the next steps for Trident isn't building the digital side, it's pushing out that physical game and actually building an audience. So when it comes to progress, the first thing I will do is show off, if I can get to it. So the first of the tools that we had to deal with was PlayFab. It's kind of this big beast to handle, especially if you're going to do a mobile game where you're going to have multiple games that you can play with different people. And so setting all of that up, that you're going to need, stores and whatnot, registering accounts. It's very simple. It's very basic for the moment, but it's a lot. It's back-end stuff. It's not exciting. It's not sexy, but it works, and it's a foundation that we'll be able to use. We can load in, grab all the data that we have. We can go to the inventory. Shows the inventory down there. I can go down to the shop. I can add money. I can buy things. It goes back. Then when we look at our inventory, it's added to the inventory. That's the basic of what we wanted for that tool, as well as our dice roller. And again, the big thing about making this game successful on mobile is, does that dice roller feel authentic? So we're able to go through and we're able to say how many types of dice we want, how many dice, what number we need to succeed, and then roll it. And the audio is down low, but you can't really hear it, but it's the full loop. You've got the dice, they actually hit across, they roll, they make the sound, they bounce off the sides. And so when you have this on your phone, what it feels like is you've got a bunch of dice in a dice box and you shake it and they bounce around and they actually hit the walls. And it's probably one of the most authentic feeling dice rollers that I've had the experience of using. And then it came to, there's a lot of the game we can't show you because it's rules, which no one wants to look at that, but we do have plenty of art we can show off. We ultimately went with this kind of 80s anime style that was evocative of the sources that we're drawing inspiration from. And it's also something that's kind of been having a resurgence lately. We've had work on both the Leviathans, as well as some basic 3D, some starting 3D modeling work for the Tridents, trying to get that customization system together and working. John Nix, our online artist, has been working on environment pieces that we can use to create this kind of 2D, 3D scene for our UI in the game. And then, again, here's another shot of that. We've got our strategic map. Shelby's done a great job of making multiple battle maps. This is a game that it has a lot of maps. It's a lot of content to produce out, and this is probably a third of the stuff that we have. But again, if I showed it all, we'd be here all day. So the important things for Trident is, did we meet our goals? Did the team learn and grow? Well, my number one goal, outside of getting things done for the project, is making sure that everybody learned something this semester. And I can confidently say that's happened. We have a playable physical prototype. We can put the stamp on it, say it's version 1, start taking it out. We have our initial digital tools. And then the most important thing is we have what we need to start building an audience. There's no point in making a mobile game or releasing a game unless you've got an audience that's actually going to engage with it and enjoy it. So the step forward from now is, we're not going to be in the production studio anymore, but it's going to be me and whoever wants to be involved in the project, taking it out there, showing it off at conventions, local gaming stores, building an audience and actually creating a following for this game. Because releasing a game to nobody, it doesn't matter. So that's the next step for Trident, and I hope that when we release, we'll be able to count each and every one of you as a fan. Thank you.
All right, next is Siege Bots.
And I think, yeah, close my eyes.
I can exit out of our stuff.
This. I'm going to start with the presentation because
as a video that has all the same stuff that's in the build. So this is SiegeBots. I'm Todd Dickinson, project lead. It's a quick video of our gameplay. Well, I say quick, it's not. So yeah, we have what we've accomplished this semester is a lot of the iteration improvement of our core gameplay features. Like the bot builder, we've added a lot of new parts and things of that nature. The user interface has been coming along, and it's easier for people to use from all the feedback we've been getting. Skip ahead a little bit. Is our state machine editor. It's come a long way. We've added a lot of new functionality to it, as opposed to just like the simple drop downs we had before. Our biggest feature for this part is our biggest newest feature, or is should be showing up, is parameter-based actions and transitions. So you can enter in custom values for things like if your health is less than 50%, then transition to this state, things like that. Our levels have also come a long way. We've been redoing the UI this last sprint for our level scenes. So it's come a long way as well. And we also fixed that weird physics thing, so they no longer fly. And that's essentially what we've accomplished this semester. Okay, so our future plans, if we get greenlit, is basically this. You can't really see it, it's kind of small, but the green boxes are what we plan to do this upcoming semester. The red is stretch goals, and the green and yellow circles are things we've accomplished and are working on, have finished this past semester. So primarily what we're going to do is a lot of world building, like level design, things like that, narrative structure, and building structures for scenarios that the players can test their bots against. We're going to continue working on adding new bot pieces, things of that nature, so that we can expand the gameplay systems. So who we need is artists a lot, 3 or 4 for concepts, UI, low poly models, textures, and environment pieces. This is kind of the style we're going for. Is for the 3D is low poly with the gritty sci-fi textures. We also need designers for levels and systems, and if there's anybody that wants to do UI and UX design, that'd be great. So we also need programmers, object-oriented, event-driven programming, and if you know anything about asset bundles, that would be great. And in addition, it'd be nice to have a community manager to help with community engagement, social media, audio engineer, so we can start getting the audio feedback to the different actions and things, and then a technical artist for visual effects. Thank you.
Graffiti is next.
Okay, so hi, I'm Dakota Stoner. This is Graffiti. So, what is Graffiti? It's a third-person arena shooter. It takes place in a comic book world where you are comic book people fighting each other over turf and having a gang war. So this semester we worked on making out a city level, and so we were able to start implementing turf tag and having people join each other and fight. One other thing a couple things we've done besides that is a decal editor. So you can go in. This is still very basic. We plan on expanding on it, but you're able to go in and make a simple decal that when you're in game, you can run up to a building that needs to be tagged, tag it with your decal, and that's there. Something else we were working on is just simple key bindings that we have, which you can change, and they will
it actually saves and goes over, so when you're in game, you can change what you need. So we worked on actually getting multiplayer up and all of that. Make sure the sound's not super loud. Sorry. We worked on getting a lot of the multiplayer up, a lot of assets made, tank models. We have a character model in. I wasn't able to get that in because I don't know how to put animations in Unity, so that's a shame. But you are able to shoot. Your characters and all of that will take damage and die. Like, just a simple death animation, and you will respawn. They will be infinite lives and all of that. And if there was other people in here, we'd be able to fight each other. We have the simple tutorial level with the character model. You're able to paint on different objects. Yeah, so that's what we've done over the semester. Okay, sign in. Okay, so presentation time. Okay, so like I said, what is Graffiti? It's a multiplayer arena tank shooter. There's a gang war, people are paint, and you're tagging territory to try to gain control for your side. So next semester we are going to be working on a new game mode called Turf Tussle. It is going to be a deathmatch game mode, free for all, limited lives. Along with Turf Tussle, we're going to be working on our SIP, which is going to be we are currently calling it Fumes. When you die and run out of lives, you are going to be Fumes that will be able to run around as a ghost-like player and help your team by giving them different buffs and all of that, so you can continue playing even when you run out of lives. So design-wise, next semester we're going to work on some more level design, some kind of expanding on Turf Tussle, defining what it is, and all of that. Art, we're going to be working on character models, weapons, tanks, city assets. These are going to be very low poly. The colors are going to be very bright and vibrant, very comic booky. Programming side, we are going to be making a weapon system to where you can change weapons, tank selection, and working on a multiplayer lobby, cleaning that up so it'll be a lot easier to join into a game and play with other. So who we need is gameplay programmers that know how to work in Unity and C#, multiplayer programmer, UNet or Photon. Level designers, we'll need arena style maps, and on the artist side we'll need 3D artists who can do stylized, animated, trees, characters, weapons / tanks, and 2D artists for UI, banners, posters, anything of that sort. Thank you.
Next up, Firebreak.
I have no idea if this is up to my height, but I guess we'll find out.
To see your neck.
Alright, so I'll start with the presentation in this case. Hi, I'm Ian Furmanek. I'm project lead for Team Firebreak. Firebreak is a sci-fi themed isometric shooter in which you will work with a squad to take down unique bosses. So a lot of our gameplay elements are inspired by what Dark Souls does, mostly with the way they want to implement their online, both for cooperative play as well as player versus player combat, and include the way they incorporate uniquely designed bosses and experiences for a lot of their sections of the game. We wanted to follow similar to that for our missions, as well as the bosses that kind of encapsulate the entire thing. But we also want to have a narrative and more of a interactive flow similar to Mass Effect, XCOM, or Shadowrun, where you can still communicate with people and not just shoot them because they might be bad guys. So as it stands right now, we are an LLC. Our core team is 5 people, myself, Parker, Ian, and Bryce, and David Engelman. We began this project with a lot of documentation. We had a very quickly thrown together demo and a very, very detailed idea. So what we have now after 15 weeks is a very, very well realized first pass of honestly what I would ship as a prototype for any investors. We have a baseline idea for how we want their missions to flow. We have a good idea of how we want the character to go through advancing in levels as well as their skills, as well as communicating that between what the player has, as well as a level selector, a hub mission area, and a lot of back-end stuff to try and optimize our project. In terms of what that means going into our next semester, if we do get accepted, that means that our character advancement is going to get fleshed out even further, so that way there is an even better response that the player can understand for all of the stats as they increase them, as well as increasing the fidelity of our artificial AI. So that means our squad mates are not going to be so twitchy or honestly brain dead in a couple spots where they just run into walls and stuff, as well as designing the enemy AI to organize themselves and try and be a little bit more smart and not just run at you trying to kill you. Along with that, we want to work on rapid prototyping even more levels, so that way we can get even further along in our development. Our production pipeline works through GitKraken for our quality control, Google Drive, and Discord for a lot of our communication and asset work, as well as working in Unreal Engine 4 as opposed to Unity. For this semester, again, a lot of stuff was done with our paper map getting realized into a first pass for our level, an interactable hub that allows you to select levels and upgrade your character, character controller that was optimized so it's not as delayed when you're trying to do inputs, as well as fleshing out our user interface a lot further. Our release goals, we're going to be moving into our second of third semester, if we're counting it that way, in terms of releasing a finished product for the community to look at, play, and purchase. A big portion of what we wanted to do for our goal with this is to pad out portfolios for anyone that wanted to be on the team. It's a great way to get into the industry, I think, is just having a very well done, polished, and released title. So, who are we looking for going into the next semester? Honestly, anyone that's willing to join, I'm fine with that. But if you are an artist interested, we are definitely going crazy on a lot of personal models, so armor, weapons, gadgets, things of that nature. If you're interested in props or characters, definitely a big put here. There's a couple of vehicles as well as other props that can be done, but otherwise, that's what we need for artists. For our designers, rapid prototyping, that's going to be a really big thing, as well as working on balancing out our weapons and armor and making sure it all coincides together and make a relatively fair gameplay experience. For our programmers, we're doing something a little weird. For Unreal, instead of using blueprints for everything, we're actually going to try and optimize a lot of our stuff in C++, so that way things don't get jittery or chug the computer as you get into more intense areas. Anyone that wants to try sound design or UI design, we're willing to accept, but again, anyone that's willing to join is fine with us. So, we are an LLC, so that means we will also be offering internships going into next semester, but if we do get accepted, we're looking for about 5 to 6 people, if they're willing to join, and that's if you want to contact us. But that's a presentation, and talk is cheap, so I want to show you guys what we've got completely. Alright, so, as I said, we have a fully fleshed out little hub area where the player will be able to move between the pilot's area right here to select missions, as well as set their settings and choose to connect online with other friends. They also have the little shop menu here where you can look inside of a person's arm. Let me just back them up a second here. And so you can go to your character sheet and look at all of your stats, as well as see how that interacts with everything. So in this case, let's say I want to increase my health a little bit. There is a currency system. Current gold is used to decide just what the player has for level as well as cost. So as you go up in this progress bar, you'll go to your next level, or I guess in this case a tier, which dictates how much you would spend per level. So I'll just get enough to pay for what we need, and that will also translate over to what the character now has. As you can see, they have increased vitality, health, and power points. Along with that, we can also choose a few different feats as baseline stuff, but that's a really quick section of that. We also have a basic mission selector here where you could go between all the missions that we got. In this case, I'll just show you mission 1 real quick, in which a bunch of enemies just airdrop. 40 seconds? Oh boy. So again, AI is really simple. They'll run at you and then shoot very quickly. So that's what we got as a first pass for the game right now after about 15 weeks of work. And going on from here out into the next semester, it's going to be just, yeah, as I said, fleshing out a lot of the character advancement in the AI, and then trying to translate that into further levels so that way we can get even closer to realizing the final idea for what we release as Firebreak. So I hope to see you guys if you're interested, and hope to see you next semester.
Buzzkill next.
All right. Hello, my name is Lindsay. I am one of the project leads on Buzzkill, and this presentation is going to be a little bit unique. We are not pitching to become greenlit again, but we are celebrating 15 weeks of hard work, determination, and growth. As Professor Markwitt mentioned earlier, we developed this GDD in his Game 101 class, and so we were a very fresh team, and we were very thankful for the dice that they rolled for us, and for the opportunity that we were given, and for the tremendous impact that had on us as starting developers. So this is what we've produced. This is Buzzkill. This is the opening screen where you can log in, and we have here test and password. So everyone can have their own unique identity as you begin this game. Excuse me, not capitalizing anything. And what that allows you to do is to have your own shop, have your own leaderboards, everything else. When you go in here, oh yes, we are all in here. And of course, Fred has the highest score. You can track your own high score, your inventory, everything that you can purchase. Oh yes, so we also have our power-ups. You can buy music. We don't have enemies available yet, but those are going to be available in DLC later on. World and theme packs. This game has two aspects to it. We have an endless run, and we also have a campaign mode, which really goes into the story. So if you followed us throughout the semester, Buzzkill is an endless runner. It's meant to be for a mobile platform where you play as a bee and you're just antagonizing an airport. We have 10 unique enemies, all of which we have developed from scratch, including their sound. All of the sounds that you hear in this game, we've created ourselves. This has been quite the journey that we've had. Oops, thank goodness, and I died right away. So, in developing this game, but we've just had such an experience. In the background, you see snacks, clothes, as I run into this, and this is going to be John F. Kennedy Airport that you see here. I'm not going to die again. But we also have our pause menu where you can use power-ups that you've purchased, adjust music volume, everything else, and then our campaign mode, which is also known as our story, is broken down into 3 different quests, where you learn about just really the backstory of what's going on here and how he, oh my goodness, that is a little bit of a bug, where he will pause there, but if I was
He's pollinating.
He is pollinating. That happens like once in a blue moon. But if we were to reload the build, it would fix itself. Regardless of that, oh, let's let him fly. We really are celebrating the work that we've done this semester. I wish that I could show you the rest of what is going on there, but we do have video, and we'll have the full build up later on to show you everything that we've done. And yes, so that is our project. Thank you very much for a great semester.
So next on the list we have Weapons Forge. So, that concludes pretty much everybody who went through production studio this last time. Now these are all the new games getting pitched, trying to get into production studios for the first time. I'm now going to limit you guys down to 5 minutes. Right? The other ones had 7 to do their 2 things, show what they had or whatever. You guys only get 5 minutes because you're not as important. No, just kidding. You're very important. Obviously, we're looking up to bring in is probably at least 1 or 2 new games. So we'll see what goes on with that. So our first team to do that will be Looters of the Arcane.
Hello everyone, I'm Regis Jerry. I am the production lead for Looters of the Arcane. It is a game where your objective is to go inside of this haunted facility, grab an item, and then get out. So your first objective is to secure the arcane object. Second objective is to get out alive. That is the most important part of the game. And then Luda features a new mechanic where there's actually a love-hate group in the game. So if you have an item that the world hates, more terrible stuff is going to happen to you. If you have an item that the world loves, you'll actually end up being able to like open up locked doors, be able to run through basically anywhere, and enemies will even just stand in front of you and not even notice that you're there. Yeah, will you survive? Will you become another patient at the asylum? This semester we did add in a new enemy type. It is the Mad Scientist. He loves to get inside your face and then end up slowly killing you. We polished up a lot of the set design. So now we have everything from like showers, bathrooms, all the way up to operating rooms and the isolation cells. Yeah. Yeah, so the new mechanics that we ended up adding in this semester are quite extensive. We ended up meeting almost all of our stretch goals. The only thing that we weren't able to add in was the inventory system, which we're going to want to work on next semester. And then going forward, what we're going to need is we're going to need artists, designers, and then the main thing that we're going to need is programmers that are willing to try to think outside the box, because the first thing that we want to do is we want to add multiplayer. But other than that, we also want to be able to add in programming where the player will end up interacting with the environment on a more personal level. So semester 1, before it was to rebuild the asylum, we actually completed that this semester. So what we want to do is we want to create a hub world that the players can learn the mechanics of the game. So that'll be more or less the tutorial area. And then I'm going to bring out this video. If I can find it. Ooh, first try. Yeah, so one of the things that we want to do is we want to change up the visual effects just a little bit, because right now the fog and the lighting is great, but it's not quite scary enough at the moment. And we definitely need artists that can actually give us some new enemies, because right now, you know, the scientist is in. And we did also add in, you know, things like death animations. We actually finished adding in the falling floors, and your items can actually interact with the environment. So right there, you see that I threw a clipboard and then it dropped down the floor that was over here. Yeah, and then right now I've already played this a few times, you know, because kind of helped make it. But what I'm doing there is, just in case the arcane object is in the basement, I'm setting up a chair so that I can end up getting back out if I need to escape that way. And then the only way that you kill the ghosts now is you can only kill them with holy crosses, which you have to find in the world. So right now I'm currently running around looking for them. The enemies, we don't know why, but the enemies like to lay down. And then...
That's much scarier.
Yes. We do want to add in more things that kind of frighten people, just because right now it's not that scary, but, you know, you get a nice little jump scare every now and again. Yeah, there we go. And these doors do lock and unlock, so, you know, I did have to do multiple playthroughs to be able to get this really fast playthrough, because every time I'd be running in, one of the doors that I would need to get through to be able to finish the level fast would be locked, and, you know, it just made my life difficult. So instead of finishing in 2 minutes, I would end up finishing in 10, because reasons.
10 seconds.
Well, then I would like to say thank you for your time. You know, you just got to get these arcane objects and get out. Then arcane item secured.
Just in time.
Nailed it.
Good job. All right, next up we have Legion.
Hello everybody, my name is, we'll just start off, first of all, this game has gone through 3 iterations. This is the 3rd and its final form, and it is called Dawn of the Dreadnoughts. And yeah, so to start off, what you're seeing here is what I tried to show last semester, is we've got our gameplay demo of kind of what the game wants to play out, and then, since somebody said that building in a complete RTS from the ground up is hard, I decided to then build an entire framework in Unreal, and that is what you're seeing. So, what is it? Dawn of the Dreadnoughts is an RTS game in which the very map that you play on is an entity. You're not playing on these standard, you know, terrain level maps. You are playing on a giant spaceship that is shooting at another giant spaceship across the way. Alright. So, the Dreadnought has the ability to move around the game space and make tactical decisions based off of what is going on, take damage, and deal damage, like a Dreadnought would, because if it didn't do that, why would it be a Dreadnought? Alright, so in Dawn of the Dreadnoughts, the player must support their Dreadnought in its fight against the enemy Dreadnought. Right? The player can support their Dreadnought in a variety of ways by constructing auxiliary systems to augment their Dreadnought. They can build buildings on the outer hull of the Dreadnought to build an army to then go attack the enemy army, which is coming to then kill your Dreadnought. Alright, what makes Dawn of the Dreadnoughts different? Most RTS is, like I said, take place on a solid map, so like, you know, a ground, a planet, whatever. Well, that's been done, I don't know how many times. It's been done literally. You can't do it anymore, all right? You got to make something different. You got to make something fun, right? Here, you're playing on 2 Dreadnoughts that move around and fight each other. They're basically units, except you just can't control them, because that's all done by their AI. Right. So what is done? Like I said, we've got I have a full RTS framework totally done in the Unreal Engine. As you can see, it knows the time, which is very important for a really time management and time-based system where you have to do all these actions at an actual precise time, and I don't know why I'm still rambling. Anyway, SIP. This is currently in the works to become a SIP project. I have done the pitches to, you know, have it get approval. Still waiting on that, but I should know that by next week. Art. So the art, I'm thinking doing something more a little low poly. As you can see, StarCraft is a great example. It's very low poly, but at the same time realistic. Right? The team. So far the team is me and other people that said they want to work on it and do assets for it. So the plan. Plan and minimum viable product. So it's pretty simple. I initially want to get it in engine to where you have 2 Dreadnoughts fighting and behaving, and then as time progressive, that's an insurance company, they did not sponsor this presentation at all. I wish they would have. anyway, but as time progresses, I plan to just add one mechanic in at a time, get that done, and then move on to the next one. So, and I actually have time for questions, which is awesome. So, yeah, any questions?
Is there resources? Are you using resources here?
Yes, like typical RTS games, there will be resources to keep things a little bit simpler, because I really don't want the player to be too focused on his economy, because that gameplay just isn't, I don't feel really speaks to what I'm trying to go here, where it's just constant combat. So there is only one resource that is automatically generated by the Dreadnought. The player can use auxiliary systems to augment how much resources he get, but that will come at a cost. So let's say I build an auxiliary system to collect more resources. Well, now I can't, let's say, build a turret there, all right? Then let's say an auxiliary system gets destroyed. Well, I can't build there either unless I clean it up or repair that little auxiliary node. So one resource to keep it simple and to keep the focus on combat and those decisions.
5 seconds.
All right, so yeah, Yen? Yeah.
All right, next up we got Secretaries in Space. Sounds like a Muppet Show. Secretaries in Space.
Alrighty, I'm Chandler Emerson. I'm a product lead for Secretaries in Space. So what Secretaries in Space is, well, first off, we'll represent our team. I'm one of the main artists. This is Justin. He's one of our level designers. So we have Austin, Jordan, Tia. Tia is actually the main head. She actually came up with her idea. This is actually one of her board games that she made in Derek's class, and we actually are turning it into a full-fledged game. To get started off, we want more programmers, because a lot of our game table mechanics come from our artificial intelligence, and we need more artists and animators of any kind, UI, any programmers, C++, artificial intelligence, and people like that. So what Secretaries in Space is, it's a sci-fi first-person battle arena. It's a shooter and brawler. It's mostly close quarters, super close, get up close and personal with a small bit of strategy built in. So essentially each player, each game is like a match. You have to collect resources, and then whoever has the most resources at the end will be declared the winner. Resources could be like minerals, containers of fuel, things like that. Each player will control a secretary, which has different classes. Secretaries are like classes, like a teacher, like a business secretary, a unit secretary, that have all different unique abilities. So the resource management would be more of, we want to add in a third AI team. That way you're facing off against another player team, and then you have to deal with another AI team to go on. And so to start the match, the AI will have most of the resources, and then you have to kind of work with the enemy to acquire resources from the AI. And then it's all essentially a battle of wits, whether you backstab them, because you could steal resources from the other players, you could steal more resources from the enemies, but while you're doing that, someone else could be coming to your base and trying to steal your resources. So the key features, it'll be 2 players, and then 1 enemy AI, and then we have different secretaries, and then we want to add dynamic levels. So it's going to be mostly in space stations and on planets. So one feature would be, say, a alien spaceship crashes into wherever you're playing. Areas are closed off, but new areas open up. That way you can route through the alien ship, and it adds more of a, you have to change up your plan of attack. You can't be just straight ahead or just we're going to always go this way. The levels change, and that way you have to change up your attack. And then we have some concept art. We're set up. We actually have a small test level that I'll show you at the end. But most of our functionality and creativity comes from, we want to keep each secretary as unique as possible while still maintaining a set style. So this gives most of our artists a lot of creativity that allow them to insert their own personal flair, but that way we can keep it all consistent, but they all look from like different timelines, so to speak. We also have some concept levels that we're ready to get on the floor, get ready for production. So we have a plan. We have set up weeks that we work on different things. Our main goal by the end of next semester, if we do get greenlit, is to have a fully functional level with a few dynamic level changes and one character per team, and then a few enemy AIs. That way we're not have such a huge scope. And then we would like you to become a secretary, so we do need a lot of programmers, a lot of programmers and a few more artists. So I'd like to show you our level. Oops. So this is essentially what our environment would look like. How close quarters. This was made for a previous assignment. I've just edited it to change. So it is sci-fi. We're looking to have the environment a bit more realistic than the characters. So it will be more sci-fi, like a research area, a medical bay. So this is the medical bay. This is, as you can see, it's pretty close quarters, pretty small. So this is where you'll be fighting other enemies, other players, AIs in this type of environment. And the basic goal is by the time we graduate, is to have a fully functional level, and then a few characters per team, and then the enemy AIs, which have a different type of ranks, that from like a brute to. Thank you for listening.
Next we have Rift Wars. Ran into each other. That would be fun.
Hello everyone, my name is Marcos Escobar and today I'm presenting you Rift Wars for consideration greenlight. So Rift Wars is a card game that centers around a 3-deck system. The 3-deck system separates the game's 3 major card types into 3 distinct decks, so you have to manage 3 separate resources while you're playing the game. The game will be on PC, and the engine that I want to have the game built in is Unity. It will have obviously a 2D art style, considering it is a card game. And go back. Okay, it's not letting me show the video. Okay then. Well, just a simple rundown of the game. It's you are in charge of fighting another faction's army, and you must utilize all 3 of the game's separate cards in order to defeat your opponent's general card. Your general card has a set number of health, and the only way you can destroy that card is by using unit cards to dwindle its health down until it reaches 0. The unit cards basically act as soldiers. They will attack both unit cards and the general card. You have territory cards, which act as supports for yourself and your unit cards. They offer bonuses as well as buffs for your unit cards, and equipment cards, which activate upgrades and different effects for you and your unit cards. So right now I have done the prototype cards, the rules, the GDD document, as well as a full integration into the tabletop simulator on Steam. I also have a public playtest version of the game available on Tabletop Simulator. Okay, so coming into this greenlight, I want to get the starting factions cards finalized and complete, so I can have them 100% ready to go for any public play tests that I want to do in the future. I want to get a functional game engine so it's fully playable and we can share it with other people and allow other people to experience the game. I want the card art for the first faction at least finished and complete so we can start spreading what's what I'm looking for, just little ads and stuff for the game, as well as a finalized set of rules that are complete and no longer have to be edited. Okay, so why digital? So the reason why this needs to be a digital card game is that you need to keep track of a lot of elements within the game, such as card effects, your card's health, your card's attacks. A lot of the stats for the cards will constantly change as you put in new equipment cards as well as territory cards. The game is supposed to be dynamic. It's ever changing as you progress throughout the game. And don't know why that's why, but for the team I need at least one designer to help me work out the rules, add new mechanics, change up the cards, and get more interesting moments placed within the game, as well as 4 artists to help redesign some of the card art, work on the basic aesthetic of the game, as well as 2 programmers to actually help build the game engine, since I'm not a programmer and I've tried that once and it was a nightmare. And thank you for your consideration.
Next up is Bloodlust Arena. Alright, so then yeah, I'm with Bloodlust Arena. I am the lead. And then right now we have 3 full-time artists, which is me, Steven, and Tyler. And then we have a game designer who's also doing art, which is Dom. And then our game is Bloodlust Arena. And so right here is just, let me see. Yeah, this is just some quick preview of the environment. The character itself is one I got from Reign and Rebellion, so that one won't be in the final game. It's just a quick walkthrough of the environment. We're in the middle of switching over from Unity to Unreal, so I don't have the textures in yet. I just have to go back and re-edit them so it's better for Unreal. But right now we pretty much have, what was it, 3 completely interior buildings. We have a shop, tavern, and like a regular house. And then we're in the middle of pretty much rehashing that out. But the overall aspect of the game is to have like a arena base, like a PUBG slash scavenger game mode, if anybody here has played Battlefield 3. So then the objective is to pretty much, you have people spawn in, and then they have to go around finding armor, weapons, and crafting materials. You can find weapons that'll either be half damaged or have like pretty much no health. You'll get like 1 swing out of it and then it'll be destroyed. And then other times, you can pick up a weapon and it'll be in perfect condition, go around, kill everybody without having to worry about it. And then we plan on implementing a clan system. It'll be like having a knight, a samurai, and like a Viking warrior type of thing. So overall, you just want to try your best to pretty much win the match by killing the other players in the lobby. We're gonna have like a free for all, or like teams, depending upon how we can get the multiplayer to work. And then whatchamacallit. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna be working in Unreal. So we're gonna need some programmers because right now we don't have any at all. So I would like to get about 3 programmers to start off with, just to see if the workload is fine on them, and if not, we can just get more programmers.
and then we'd like to get some more designers, obviously, to help design the maps. Because as of now, we can do some of it, but I'd like to have a designer to kind of get it perfectly even on everything. And then we wouldn't mind taking on some more artists as well to help making more assets, because we plan on making 2 full maps, and then pretty much just kind of using like the same exterior for the models for the houses, just changing the interior out, and then having like multiple layers of gameplay. So like a house will have like a second, third floor with like a balcony that'll let you jump over to another house, or like bridges connecting houses and stuff like that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, and our last presentation of the day, Life or Death. Not for being last.
I love you too, random citizen.
Okay, for those of you who don't know me, I'm James, and I'm presenting Life or Death. You know, what is Life or Death? Life or Death is a multiplayer fighting game where the goal is to gain renown through battling in the Coliseum. So it's going to be just one versus one, nothing, you know, super over the top, just trying to stay in that almost minimalistic area. The feel shooting for, old-timey realistic. There's not going to be any HUD or anything like that. I feel like that breaks from immersion, and you know, in fighting games, especially competitive ones, that's like very key. That and controls. Right here's a little bit of my like the controller with the animations. I know they look a little wonky, but I'm a programmer. You know, bear with me. I have taunts, drinking potions, combos, blocking, pretty much everything you would need in a fighting game. I also have networking up and ready. This is my networking for the multiplayer. Right now you can connect with up to 10 people, but eventually that will be narrowed down. This is the main village also, that, you know, your hub when you're not in the Coliseum battling. This is where you'll be, you know, buying new cosmetics, new weapons, but none of the weapons or none of the cosmetics I want to bring will have any effects on the arena. What do I need? I need 2 programmers besides myself, 3 3D artists, and 2 designers. The only people on the project currently are me and David. David is an artist, and yeah, pretty much that. And the goals. As for art, just having at least 1 working, you know, 3D player model and a Coliseum for everybody to battle in. Because right now all I have is a test zone where it's like just sand on the ground, not really much to do. Programming wise, a renown system so that you can build renown, and off building renown, unlock things. And if we can get to it, level editing based off renown. So every time you hit a certain renown checkpoint or mark, you can expand your little village back in your hometown. And that's pretty much everything. Is there any questions, anything like that? No? Well then, thank you for your time. Oh, wait. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. So we didn't go too far over. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take kind of a lunch break. We're going to, as faculty, get together, talk about what we're going to do as far as which teams we're going to accept. We're going to green light, as I said before. Just because you were in it this last semester doesn't mean you're guaranteed to come in again. We're trying to look for lots of different things. We want diversity in leadership and in the games. We want to give people chances. We want to do lots of different things. So there's a lot of stuff to consider. It's not going to be easy for us after seeing all of these. There's a lot of great presentations. So already now I'm kind of like, oh, which ones? It's definitely going to be a nice argument. We had last time was the same thing. Now keep in mind that if you don't get accepted, it's okay. I've even told some people to pitch regardless, because every time you pitch, it adds a little bit of value to your project. We give you advice, so make sure you talk to us afterwards. If we don't accept you, we'll give you a little bit of advice. You try to make those changes. You come back next time, you're more likely to get in, especially, you know, if you're listening to what we're doing. So that is kind of the process. Just as a reminder, when we get back, one of the first things we'll do will be team pictures. Okay, so we'll do that. So there's a little bit of suspense. expense and